So we'll now calculate the statutory reserve transfer for the current year and accordingly get our total reserves and surplus balance. Now, we know that transfer to the statutory reserve is made from the current year's profit, isn't it? And in order to get that transfer amount or how much balance of the profit and loss is carried forward to the balance sheet, we first need to get the total profit and loss amount, right? Just like when we used to prepare profit and loss accounts, we had these two sections. We had profit and loss section and we had the appropriation section. Okay, so as a working note, earlier we used to do a full P&L account, but this problem doesn't require you to prepare a P&L. So as a working note, I have over here only these two headings, profit and loss and appropriation, right? Now why do I need this? In order to know how much to transfer to statutory reserve, I have to get the total of these two, right? I need to get the current year's profit and then I need to get the total of these two to know how much profit we made from the previous year and the current year and how much to transfer to the balance sheet, right? So let me look at the problem and see what is given about the profit and loss situation. Net profit for the year before appropriations, meaning net profit of the current year but before appropriations are made is 225. So let's write this. Profit during the year 225. Okay. Now what do we do with current year's profit? We transfer some amount of the current year's profit, not the total. Only the current year's profit, we transfer it to the statutory reserve. And even in the absence of any information, you should always consider 20% of current year's profit, that is 225, and transfer it to the statutory reserve. Alright. So 20% of the 225 is 45 and this is the amount that is going to get transferred. So we'll write it first, as and when we do it. So in the statutory reserve, okay, I'll leave this here and I'll move this. In the statutory reserve notes, that is reserves and surpluses, let's add this. Okay, so working note 1, statutory reserve, alright, or else I'll just call this working note 1 and this as 2. So this will be working note number 2. Okay, so transfer to the statutory reserve for current year is 45. Alright, so this 45 needs to be added to schedule 2 under the previous year's balance. So you have statutory reserve opening balance, to that add the current year's statutory reserve balance and always write the decimal so that you don't confuse it and add this 45 to the 50. Okay, so statutory reserve total current year plus previous year, what we get is 391.50. Alright. Okay, so one thing is complete. The statutory reserve in the reserves and surplus schedule is complete. Let's see the next thing what we have. What was the net profit or loss balance for the previous year? What was the opening balance? Okay, given here to you is P&L accounting, P&L account opening balance 618. We add that here, 618, and we will get the total profit or loss for the year, 843. Done? This is your total profit. Now, what we used to do is the same profit we used to bring down here in the appropriations also. The totals always are same as we know, and whatever balance remains, now 45 we have transferred to statutory reserve. So whatever balance remains, we always carry it forward to the balance sheet. Okay. So 843 minus the 45 will give you 798. Done? So this 798 is what is transferred to the balance sheet. So where will it come in the balance sheet? Again, reserves and surplus, balance of profit and loss account. Amount is 798. I'll write the decimals just to make it more clearer. 798 plus 391.5. The total of your reserves and surpluses is 1189.50. That's how you get the reserves and surplus balance. Okay. So for reserves and surplus, you always need to calculate this first. Do the profits calculation. How much are total profits? How much has gone to statutory reserve? And what is the balance that goes in the balance sheet? Goes over to the balance sheet, right? So 1189.5. So reserves and surplus is also complete, which means all our schedules are now complete and we are ready to transfer all these highlighted totals, these balances to the actual balance sheet that we have prepared here. Let's do the posting, let's do the transfers now. Okay, so capital, we look here and we transfer here. 297.00, I'll maintain the decimals throughout. 297.00. Then reserves and surplus total 1189.50. That to be underlined. Then deposits total 2230.68. Next, borrowings total 165.00. Next, other liabilities and provisions 0.15. Done. So total we've got all of these items, and if you total these up, total of the liability size is 3882.33. Done. Let's see if we manage to get the same total on the asset side as well. Assets start with schedule 6. You have 308.05 total. Okay, schedule 6. Schedule 7 total is 447.99. Schedule 8, which is investments, is 448.09. Then advances, which is schedule 9, the total is 2449.47. Okay. After that, schedule 10, fixed assets, 228.73. Schedule 11 is nil, as we have seen, and we also calculated schedule 12 total 14.67. Done. Now one amount remaining here, of course it doesn't get included in the calculation of your total assets, but it's just a separate amount that needs to be shown in the problem. Bills for collection 18,10,000, so 18.10. Right. These two will not appear or not be added up to the total ever. We just need to get the total only up to this point, right? So again 308, all of these amounts add up to 3,882.33. Of course, I'm not doing the actual calculations on the screen, but you can always cross check, verify, do it along with me and see whether these totals are correct or not. All right. So let's view our entire balance sheet. This is the total balance sheet with all the assets and liability schedules, and accordingly all the notes to the balance sheet that we have been provided here. Okay. along with the working note for calculation of the profit and loss and the appropriations.